let's start with my bit. So first of all, in the true American fashion, I'd like to start with a little oversharing. I have to start with a confession. The confession is that I like roadkill. Now, of course, if you've ever been to America, I know we have one of our Americans here, we have a thing about road trips. We go on these ridiculously long drives. I've done a couple of 30-hour drives because it takes that long to get across half of our country. So I do a lot of these long drives, and roadkill is just that kind of thing you see kind of laying along the road. But I'm not actually talking about true roadkill. What I'm talking about is sales roadkill. So when I first started in sales, I wasn't very good at sales. And in fact, I didn't really like sales so much. I didn't really like having to go out and work so hard. I was quite lazy, if I'm going to be honest. And so what I would do instead is that I would go out and I would look for sales roadkill. And sales roadkill is when you go out and you just look for a prospect that's just lying on the side of the road. They're a little beaten, battered, they've been kicked aside by some other vendor. They don't really know what they want. They don't really know what they need. Boy, I just scoop them up and I would drag them back to the office, my roadkill in place, and I would slam it onto the desk of the account management team, and I would go, there, make something of that. And I would dust my hands off, collect my commission, and move right along. Any roadkill people out there? Few? I see some guilty looks. Yes, absolutely. So, Steve, can I get the next slide up, please? But the problem with my roadkill strategy is that it was fundamentally flawed. And it had mixed success. And by mixed success, I mean it was crap, really, is what it was. Because the results was that I was dragging back these prospects and customers that were high cost, high churn, and frankly, pretty high maintenance. And so ultimately, they were costing our business significant amounts of money. Next slide, please. Now, I should have known better, really, because I have a background in sales. For the last 20 years, thank you so much. For the last 20 years, I've worked in enterprise technology. And I've sold to some of the biggest companies in the world, and I've sold to some small companies as well. But I've sold complex deals. I've been to enough trade shows that I can weave an entire king-size quilt out of my lanyards alone. Keep saving them, you'll get there. But the point is that as that person, not only was I in sales, but I've also worked in marketing, product strategy, and support. I've been on the receiving end of that roadkill that landed in my desk. And frankly, I know the cost of having those kinds of customers. And the cost is high to the business. Now, I shouldn't have thought of sales like that. I shouldn't have had a strategy of roadkill because I'm actually from Iowa originally. Raise your hand if you know where Iowa is. See, nobody. Here it is, ready? America, Iowa. Yeah? It's like the Northampton of America. Yeah? Except not necessarily on an interstate. So, I grew up on a farm. But the important part about me growing up on a farm is that it was all about nurturing and getting more out of our crops, more out of our land, more out of our livestock, more out of all of our resources. Because in reality, it wasn't what we brought into the farm, it was what we grew on it that was the most valuable thing for our business. And it's from that that I developed the fundamental philosophy that it's really important that hunters learn to think like farmers, and farmers know when to hunt. How many of you consider yourself hunters? Quite a few of you, right? You guys know hunters and farmers? Right, hunters, they go out and they find the deals. There are net new salespeople. They go out and find those prospects, they capture them, they grab them, they close that deal for as much money as they possibly can. And then you've got your farmers. Those are the people that are back in the office, and they're coddling them and they're nursing them back to health after they've been demolished by that hunter, right? But the reality is that for our businesses to actually succeed, we can't operate that way anymore. When we said it's the best time to be in sales, it's because everybody in our organization is selling. Everybody. and even our customers are helping us to sell. So when we look at things like whether we're hunters or farmers, what we need is hunters that recognize the importance of long-term relationships and farmers who recognize the need to upsell and to reconnect with clients to get value from them. And that's what we're really talking about is value. Value is what we get from our customers and what it takes for us to get it. So let's talk about long tails. How many of you guys know what a long tail is? A few people, right? Reading the revenue numbers, we love that. So of course the long tail is just that revenue chart that says I get 80% or 20%, I get 80% of my revenue from 20% of my customers. So there's our nice long tail. But let me tell you a couple things that your tail also tells you. Your tail might also tell you how much value you get from your customers. Because in reality, when we look at the value that we get, not just revenue, but value that we get from our customers, a lot of times, it's those customers that are right in the middle that give us the most value. And the reason is because we also have a pain line. And the pain line says that most of the time, our biggest customers and our smallest customers are the most difficult to work with. Have you guys seen that? That little tiny customer, and you're just like, how can you be so hard to deal with? And then never mind that big behemoth of a customer that you're working with, that big behemoth is actually up there going, yeah, you've got to use our contract. No, you'll have to use our terms. No, it has to go through our legal department 15 times. No, it has to go to 18 council meetings for approval. You know, that kind of thing. So the time and cost of doing business with them is quite difficult. What we are wanting to get to is that sweet spot in the middle where our value and our pain is minimized and brought together to create that perfect customer and prospect. And what I want to help you do today is to figure out how to grow that pie. There is so much value to be had from your prospects and customers. It's all just about how do we get it from them. And I'm going to tell you that today. So, would you like to get more customers? Yes? Yes? Actually, you probably want to get more valuable customers. It's a trick question. We don't want more customers. We can go get lots of people that will do business with us, but what we need is the right people to do business with us, right? So remember what that sales superpower? My sales superpower is I am the queen of qualifying because I don't want to waste my time as a salesperson bringing in the wrong kinds of accounts that are going to drag our business down. So whole company selling. Whole company selling is exactly what it sounds like. How do I get everyone in the organization contributing to the sales process? I don't actually want everybody out there doing cold calls. No, I don't actually want anybody to have to go do cold calls. So instead, what I want to do is to figure out how to get everybody in an organization to contribute to that sales process. And two ways that we can help that along is first, by recognizing that in a whole company selling process, we play the long game. And the second way is by planning the journey that will get us to the results that we want. So first up, it's really important to recognize the fact that sales isn't about revenue. How many of you track revenue as one of your key metrics? It's a vanity metric, right? A great salesperson. A great story about a salesperson that I used to work with. I was a director of technology for an auto manufacturing company, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a fascinating company. Ask me about it later. So I was director of technology, and I was setting up some systems for one of our salespeople and putting a contract into the system to test it. And I typed in the contract, and I said to him, this contract that I've typed in, according to the numbers on here, every time we do this deal, we're going to lose $1.50. And he sat there for a minute, he thought about it, and he went, yeah, I see what you mean, but we're going to do a lot of them. And I thought, well, there you go. That's perfect. Well done. Good job. We'll get you a calculator for Christmas. So it's not about the revenue. Revenue is a kind of a vanity metric. What we're really looking at now is lifetime value. One of the poll questions that I put out on LinkedIn before the conference started was, Do you just do net new sales, or are you responsible for upsells and cross sales as well? How many of you sell again to the same customers? Almost everybody. And how many of your customers stay with you longer than one transaction? Congratulations, you already get this. Lifetime value is the metric that matters. So how can you do that? What's important? Well, we start with one of the most important American philosophers that once said, "What have you done for me lately?" And of course, that famous American philosopher is Janet Jackson. So this is what we have to ask our customers. Raise your hand if you believe that we are here to serve our customers. Are we here to solely serve our customers? Oh, no, not quite sure. Oh, it feels like a trick question, because it is a trick question. If all we did was serve our customers exactly what they asked for, would we be in business? No, we would go out of business. We are not here to serve our customers. Shock horror. We are here to partner with our customers in a mutually beneficial arrangement. Would everybody agree with that? Yeah, they have to give back as well, or we can't stay in business, and if we can't stay in business, we cannot continue to serve them. So quite simple. So let me tell you about two different accounts. When we talk about value, as I said, I've sold to a variety of different types of companies over the years. One of them is one of the largest companies in the world. They turn over about $250 billion a year, and that sale took almost 2 years. 2 years in the making, from the time that we first really logged them as an actual prospect. 2 years to get that deal closed. And to this day, despite the fact that they're one of the best-known brands in the world, I can't use their logo, and I can't use their company name, and they have a policy not to reference. So yes, they bring a lot of revenue into that business, but that's all they bring. That's all they bring. Compare on the other side to that, a small company. A small company that I did business with, that I sold in, I think roughly it took about 3 weeks from start to finish to close that deal. It was a small deal, wasn't very big, about $20,000, because it wasn't a very big company. But that company was called Zuffa. And Zuffa might be better known as the parent company of the UFC. Yeah? You guys recognize the UFC? Yeah? The fighting club? So UFC and the people that worked in that department have never once turned me down when I asked them to do something. They would trot out on stage and bring their fabulous videos with all the lights and action and, coming up next to the ring, bah, 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 all that. They co-presented with me. They partnered with me as I innovated a brand new product and provided valuable feedback on that product. And while that was a $20,000 deal, I can attribute easily over $2 million of subsequent sales thanks to their combined efforts and partnership with us as a business. But over and over, I had to have the same conversation with the executive team who said, no, they're not very valuable. I mean, look, they're just a little account. I don't know why you're spending so much time with them. They're just a little account. Because we weren't looking at value, we were just looking at revenue. Now, value comes in a lot of forms, and you have to decide for each organization, depending on where you are in the life cycle of your business, what's valuable to you. It could be that it's money. That's $. Just in case you didn't know what that was, that's a $. It could be money. It could be revenue. I'm not a fan of revenue. I'm much more of a fan of margin, right? And I'm a fan of lifetime value. So it could be that. It could be brand. I need that logo, right? If you're a startup, logos are incredibly valuable. It could be loyalty. We don't want to have to work that hard, and we don't want to have to manage our customers very hard. So we need loyal customers. It could be that they are willing to co-market with us. And whether that's active marketing or passive marketing, we need them to participate with us in our marketing process. It could be that they co-innovate with us, helping us to develop and deliver spectacular new products to offer to the rest of our customer base. And it could simply be because they align so perfectly with our vision that we get to reference them over and over again. And whether it's because they align with our market fit or whether because they align with our product fit, either one, it's that they bring that all together. It could even be that it's market share, but they fit into our niche perfectly. All of these are valuable things. You can text this number up here. I've got an ebook that talks about all the different types of value that we can get from customers. And it's a great exercise to go through and look at all the different value categories and decide what's valuable to you. But the reason that this is so relevant is because if we don't know what's valuable and important in our business, then we have no way of telling sales what to go and get. What do we need? And more importantly, once sales has brought that account in the door and has handed it over, or we continue to manage it, we've got to know what we should be collecting from them over time. Now, the difference between me and my CEO was that I knew what I needed from those customers. I knew I needed that marketing. I knew I needed that brand name. I knew that I needed that co-innovation, and I could see the value that I was going to get from it in the long run. That is valuable. So what's valuable to you? I want to give you actions. So you're going to get 4 actions out of today's presentation. The first one is to decide what's valuable. Download that ebook, have a look through it, discuss it with your team. And the second is to plan your next success. And what I mean by that is, what is the very next thing that you're going to sell to each one of your prospects? So before you've even closed your first deal, you should already know what you're teeing up for your next deal. Who does that today? A few people. Good, because that's what you should all be doing, because that sale just keeps right on going. Customers are always buying. Who works in as a service? Anybody do anything as a service? Software as a service, anything like that? Absolutely. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We have to keep these customers year on year. And if we don't keep them year on year, we're just throwing money away. So what's the next thing that we're going to get from them? Okay? Now, the second thing that we can do toward whole company selling is we can plan that journey. When we talk about planning the journey, what we're really saying is that I have to know where my prospects and customers are in their process so that I know when I need to give value and I need to get value. Let me give you another quote, this time from a British philosopher. I want it all, I want it all, I want it all, I want it now. Right now. Of course, that was Freddie Mercury. So when we talk about mapping the journey, let me give this to you in a way. I'm a little bit high maintenance. And by high maintenance, I mean you're going to take me out to dinner. All of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so good. Thanks. So we're going to go out to dinner. Now, I'm trying to decide where we're going to go out to dinner. And I want to go online, and I find a restaurant that has really good reviews. Looks amazing. Great pictures. Looks wonderful. Really good reviews. Oh, that looks great. That's where we're going to go for dinner. Perfect. Unfortunately, I go to book online, and there's no online booking. I try to call to make a reservation, and it rings through to nothing. Just keeps right on ringing. Okay, fine. I wait until they're open. I call them back. I'm greeted with, yeah, I'd like to make a reservation. Okay. How about Friday at 9 o'clock? We're fully booked. Any other times you'd like to offer? So I have this really inane conversation with this restaurant, only to find, finally, that we can get a reservation. Well, not very good. But we go, because I'm high maintenance, I need this restaurant. And I get up here, and the food is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Really, really good. But the next thing that happens is that I go to get the check. And I don't know if you know this or not, but you guys do this weird thing with your credit cards here. Okay, I get a credit card out. The waiter or waitress sees the credit card and goes, oh, you're ready for your bill. Mind you, I've been waiting 20 minutes now. Yes, yes, I am ready for my bill. Thanks for noticing. They go away and they get the machine. I'll get the machine, shall I? Yes, yes, I'll get the machine. So they go away, they bring the machine back, and then we have to stand there while they wave it around and try to get a signal. And then run my credit card. It takes forever to pay. I've never been anywhere it takes forever to pay. Or worse yet, when you get your credit card out and they walk over with nothing and they go, oh, would you like to pay by card? Yes, that's what this card's for. I've gotten it out so that I can pay with it, because it's like magic like that. So anyway, it's taken me forever. But on the flip side, they've given me a big coupon for my next meal. But all along that journey, there have been highs and lows in the process. And those highs and lows can all be mapped on a line. And if I know where the line is, and I know when my prospects and customers are above the line or when they're below the line, then I know when I can start to ask for things. Because when they're above the line and they're up high, this is the harvest zone. And in the harvest zone, I need to have a list of things I want from this prospect or customer because I need to go and get it. That is when it's ripe for the picking. If I just know what I want and I know where they are, I can go and get it. And then sometimes we end up with customers that are down at the bottom. What should we do with customers that are down at the bottom? Try and save them? Maybe. Customers end up in the bottom half for two reasons. One, something's gone wrong and we need to fix it. That's a customer service issue. The second thing could be they're the wrong kind of customer for us, and we are never going to make them happy. How many of you have had wrong customers? Yeah, you're never going to make them happy, ever. They're just not the right place for you. So here's your tips for this. First one is plan your harvest. Set up and name success. I'm an aficionado in a few things. One of them, being from Arizona most recently, is ice cream. I know ice cream. I know it really well. By the way, you all, very good ice cream. Nicely done. Ice cream. So I went to a fantastic gelato place in Arizona. And when I walked in, the owner was there, and he said, oh, have you been here before? And I said, no, I haven't. Is it, what kind of gelato do you have? And he said, you're going to love this. This is the best gelato you are ever going to have. And I said, well, that's a pretty big statement. I'm kind of an aficionado. And he said, trust me, it is the best gelato. I am going to come back and ask you, and you will tell me it is the best gelato you've ever had. All right, game on. I am nothing if not up for a challenge when it comes to ice cream. So sure enough, I went and had this ice cream, and it was delicious. It was absolutely great. I don't know that I would have necessarily gone out of my way to rave about it, but he came over to me and said, tell me now, was that the best gelato that you've ever had? And I said, you know what, it was. And he said, great, would you tweet that for me? And I thought, oh, you sneaky bugger. Yes. But he named success. He named it so that when he came back and delivered it, he could ask for what he wanted. That simple. So what is the success that you're naming for your prospects and customers? And then harvest the value when the time is ripe. If you don't have people watching for where people are in the journey throughout your organization, you will miss when they are in that harvest zone. And just like harvesting in a tree, when that fruit falls to the ground, you don't get to come back off season and collect it. You've got to get it while the getting's good. So be ready to collect when it's ripe. Here's your two tips, or your tips. First, you are not alone on this sales journey. You are absolutely not alone on your sales journey. You are not the only person selling to that prospect or customer. Everybody in your organization is in sales. It's hard for them to bear because when you say I'm in sales, they go, oh, I don't like salespeople. But they're in sales. They're in sales because they're watching for opportunities, they're qualifying those opportunities, and if they're trained properly, they're delivering those opportunities to the sales team to go and close. Everybody agree with that? Absolutely. So, here's your first action. Draw and mark your journey map. Sit down and think about what's happening with your account. When that customer onboards, when that customer offboards, when that customer has a problem, when that prospect is making a decision, what does that journey and that map look like? And on that journey and map, where are they above and below the line? You should, for every single one of your accounts, be able to very simply say they're above the line. Hey, how is Henry Schein doing today? They're above the line. Great. So simple. If they're above the line, marketing can call them. Done. Problem solved. The second action, don't be this guy. Because you're not alone in the sales process, you cannot be this guy. You have got to treat your teams and the rest of the people in the organization as members of your team. And as members of your team, they are not sales prevention. Those words should never come out of your mouth. If they're sales prevention, it's because you haven't done a good job telling them what you need them to do to help you sell. Whole company selling is about getting everyone in the organization to help you sell. And that's important because the road to success doesn't need roadkill. It needs everybody in the organization selling. Thank you.